ונצליח, השם ישתבח שמו, לזמור לתודה. Okay, so we've been learning, Baruch Hashem, that there's 13 different stages in the Hamshahat Mohin. After we've done, we haven't talked about, but before that, which is Aliyat Rafah. I mean, we've talked about it, but recently we haven't been going into it so much. So what I want to do the first half today is to go over the Hamshahat Mohin, which is the first stage of the 13, meaning between Ehad of Shema and Koneh Hakol, to go over that. And then go into the Siddur and start again Arvit and start. So every time we go over it, we're taking what we're learning and putting it back in and putting it back in until we get more and more familiar with it. Okay, so that's the goal of today. Okay, so we going through that list of 13 different stages, which is from the Rashash. The first one, it says Hamshahat Mohin Dezah, and it says Hamshahat Mohin starts from Ehad of Shema, and then it carries on all the way until Koneh Hakol. Remember? Am I talking to myself?
Yeah.
Okay. So I happened to be doing a sikkum from one of the Shuma Ravatia, his son writes them up. And in the first section, just by the way, he says the order, but he's talking about something much more involved. But in the brackets, he just basically gives an overview of how the Hamshahat Mohin works. Again, there's 13 stages we have to get through until the end of Sim Shalom, and then until the end of Aleinu Shabbat in Shachrit. Yeah, and the same thing in that same order is in Matbea Bracha, and it's in Kirat Shema Lamita, and everything we do, Aseh Meitshuva and Zmanim, it's always going to be the same order, right? So what we're doing now is we're going to apply it to Arvit, and applying it to Arvit, the first of the 13 is what we're calling the Hamshahat Mohin De'achol. De'achol means that first we have to give Zah, all of the Bechinot of Achol De'achol, and this is called Panim De'achol. I didn't actually write that bit, we'll write it just to remind ourselves. This is called Ach De'ach, Achol De'achol. This is called Panim De'achol. And then there'll be another two far above Ima, here, which will come in the Panim after Be'ava. So now we're talking about the Achol. This is only Zah. Then Zah has to give it over to Nuk as well. Look what there's a way to build up Nuk through Atbach, which in the 13 stages you see there. We're only doing with number one. And now number one starts in Ehad of Shema. So if I ask somebody, why does it start in Ehad of Shema? Why doesn't it start from before Ehad of Shema? And the answer is before that we have to do Aliyah Abirim, and we have to build up what's called the Mochin, which is before the Gadlut, which is the Katnut and the Yenikah. And that happens in the word Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem. So we're not learning that. And that, the Rashash doesn't talk about that in his summary. Right, but you see in the Siddur very clearly. So if we open our Siddurim to Ehad of Shema, and we'll see where we start bringing in the Mochin. First we have to do the Aliyat Rafah, then we start bringing them in. So we already marked our Siddurim, Baruch Hashem, from previous time. Shin Pei Zayin, exactly, yes. So if we go a few pages back to Shin Pei Aleph, and we say Ehad, and then we see in the middle of that page is the Arba Mitot Bedin, and then we turn the page and we see Aliyat Rafah. We can see Yud, the fourth line at the bottom, Yud Ke Yaku Havaya, and then Havaya Ma, and then two Sags, and then Ab. Right? These are the four places in Atzilut where the Mitat Melachim, where they fell down into the Klipot. And when they fell down, right, we have to take them back up. So these are the ones which are in the Klipot that we're taking up. We already know Olam HaBriah, if you remember. We Chel Avad B'Briah. Yeah, Baruch Atah B'Shem Bara Arvit. And then we went up until we got to Shema, and we're now in Chel Avad B'Briah. That's where always the Shema is always in that place. Yeah, Chel Avad. Chel HaChesed. So here we've taken them up. And then there's the bits at the bottom of the page which are from the Yenikah and the Katnut, which was in the earlier words of Shema Yisrael Hashem. And then we take all of that up to Rumba Ma'alot. So the top of Shem Pei Gimel it says, "V'zeh alidei shechaven shegam zul mivarim v'chule v'chule." And then we keep on going down to the smaller writing. "V'gam yikaven shema'alim mizeh lezeh ad Rumba Ma'alot." So all the biurim go up to the highest point. "Gam yikaven." That means there's a place that's called Ab de Ab and Ab de Sag, yeah, and that's a place which is a Metzach and Einaim of Olam Ha'ak, and that's where there's going to be a Zivug, and the new Mochin are going to come out. Yeah, the new Mochin in our case are the Achol, because we're still dealing with Achol. Right? So all of this is before the Hamshacha. First we have to bring them out, right? So when we talk about the Hamshacha, it starts from Abba Ve'ima because Abba Ve'ima is above Zul. Yeah? But before it gets to Abba Ve'ima, we have to start from what went up to Ruma Ma'alot, when there was a Zivug, Ab De'ak, it says here, and Sag De'ak. Yeah? It's actually Ab De'ab and Ab De'Sag, but it's not for us now. Then we see this Ab and De'Sag.
3 stages. There's being Ma'alev, and there's to bring them
Zivug.
out, and then
Zivug.
is that bringing it out? Zivug.
Zivug is a Zivug, like we understand. It means a male and a female is a Zivug. Yeah?
Right, but is that what you mean when you say bring them out?
Yeah. And through that Zivug, they molid, the Orot. The Orot come into the world. Right? And in this case, we're talking about, we've explained it before, we don't want to keep on going and reinventing the wheel, so to speak, but we've explained in the time of the Mikra Melachim, all that there was that ever came out in the world from the time of Maaseh Bereshit was the Ben, the Malchut of the Ben, the Nefesh of the Ben. That's what came into the world, all the Olamot which were created in Maaseh Bereshit. You only had the 1/10 of the Ben, but there's 10 Sfirot in the Ben, and there's 10 Sfirot also in the Ma, in order to build up the Hashlama of the Olamot, all the parts of him. So now, we only got 1/20th of everything. So we have to bring another 9 parts for the Ma and another 10 parts for the Ben. Sorry, the other way, 9 parts for the Ben and 10 parts for the Ma. And that's what's happening. This is the Zivug that creates that. And that's the concept of HaMechadesh B'Tuvo B'Chol Yom Tamid. You can bring in new Orot into the world that were never previously, had never yet come into the world. It's Mechadesh, from wherever it comes from. Yeah? If you remember with the Kav, there was a Tzimtzum and the Orot went to a certain place and they didn't come back in yet. So now we're bringing them, every day we're bringing them in. Orot which that have never yet come into the world. Into the world meaning relative to the world that we're talking about in the Kav. And then we start building up the parts of him. So first is Atik and Arich, and then you have to do it a few times, and you turn the page, you get to Shin Pei Hey, and then there's a Zivug of Abba Ve'iba, which you see on the right side, you've got Eke Havaya, right, on Shin Pei Hey, on the right side. That is a Zivug, it's called the Pnimi. And then on the right side, you've got what's called Zivug Keter Chabad Vizat. It's called Zivug Ner. If you add up all these letters, the Gematriyas, you'll get to Ner. 250.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Chanukah, exactly. That's the Zivug Ner of Chanukah. This Zivug means that the whole height of Zah and the whole height of Nuk are the same and they can make a Zivug. That's what it means. The Keter with the Keter, the Chabad and the Zah with the Zah. So that's, it's in the Chitzon. So anyway, there's 2 stages in this, the outside and the inside. That is the Zivug that we're talking about in Abba Ve'ima. And then we can start section 1 of the Rasha. She says, Hamshahat Mohin. So we get to Shin Pei Zayin. A few things we have to return in between, which we haven't known about. But we get to Shin Pei Zayin, right? We can see already the Hamshahat Mohin the Gadlut. Okay? The top parts of the page we're not dealing with right now. It's the bottom half of the page. Hamshahat Mohin the Gadlut. So if we turn the page, what do we see? We see there's a Chesed, a Grua, and a Tiferet. And then the next page, Shin Pei Tet, we see there's Netzach, Chod, and Yesod. You can see the names on the top of them. They put them in fast. Right? Chub, Chub, the Netzach. Chub, Chod. Why they put in this Siddur? They put in Chub, Chub. That's why there's 4 times. One for Chochmah, Bina, Chasadim, and Grua. In most Siddur, it only has 1, and it doesn't talk about the Chub, Chub. They added in more things in this particular Siddur, but really we just need 1 of them. The whole thing is called Netzach. Don't worry about the Chub, Chub. Yeah. So you can see on the right side in Shin Pei Chet, what we got? Chabad, Hagat, right? So when we talk about Hagat, Chesed, Grua, Tiferet, we do it in Kavim. So the right side is called the Chesed, the left side is called the Grua, and the middle side is called the Tiferet. So if we now, I'm going to take my daughter's counters, we can actually map it out nicely and say what's coming in now is we've got Chesed, Grua, Tiferet, right? But at the first stage, when you look at the page on Shin Pei Chet, they come into the kelim of Chabad. You see Chochmah Bina Dat. Maybe I'll sit down, it's a bit easier. See? This is Chesed, Grua, Tiferet, and it's come into Chochmah Bina Dat. That's what this page is showing us. That's the first page. Yes? Easy. We get to the second page, these ones start going further down to there, and then the Netzach Chod Yesod comes in. The mistake goes to, sorry.
Did you say that? Did you say that? That's Tiferet, no?
I didn't do this. You see, I did this in a way so you see the problem. So I just said something that doesn't make sense. You see what the problem is? If this was already Chesed Gvura and Tiferet and it was in its place, so what happens next? It can't make any sense, right? So the answer is this is not actually what's happening in the Siddur. If you look at the Siddur Yareh, you'd see that what comes in is Chagat and Nai, both come in at the same time. So in other words, when it's above, before it comes in, you've got two rows. You've got Nai, see the Nai? That's the Nai. In the Orot, that's Netzach Chod Yisod, and that's Chesed Gvura Tiferet, right? They need to come into these two rows over here, the Kelim. So what actually happens is the Nai comes in first, and you don't see that in the Siddur. In the first instance, the Nai, the Siddur showing you already passed by the top row. The Siddur showing you is that the Nai is actually here, but it doesn't show you on the page. And then these ones came in, which is Chagat. Chagat came into Chabad. Yeah? See, Chagat is in Chabad. You see that? But it doesn't tell you that underneath them, the Nai already is past that stage. So in some Siddurim, it shows you both. And then the Chagat stays there, and the Nai carries on down. And that's what we have to understand conceptually is happening.
Why isn't Nai first?
It is first.
No, why isn't Nai first?
Because they didn't put it in the Siddur. Doesn't mean it's not true. That's exactly what happens. So when you want to do the Kavanah, this I'm showing you now, right? Abutai, this is what we need to do, the Maaseh. Right? Absav the Ak, then we molid the Mohin, and the Nai comes in, you do Netzach first, Kav Yamin, and then Hod, and then Yisod. Which you don't see in the Siddur because you see on the next page, right? And then the Chagat comes in and it's Doche, Kav Yamin, Netzach goes into Chesed, right? And Chesed goes into Chochmah. And then this is Hod, it goes into Gvura, and then comes in Gvura. Gvura goes into Binah. And then the Yisod goes into the Tiferet, and the Tiferet goes into the Da'at. Now, to remember what I just said is complicated. But if you understand it, it's easy. So now we can read this page. Yeah, see what it says on this page. You go to page.
Can you just look on the left page just to imagine it?
If you know what you're doing, you don't even need the Siddur.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what you do. Yeah.
So
You won't understand what actually we have to do. It's easy. I guarantee you go out of the room and forget it. Yeah.
So the bit that's missing from this Siddur is firstly Nai goes into
Exactly.
Chabad, and then
and this is true.
Chagat goes into Chabad, and Nai goes into
Right.
Chabad.
So I'll tell you, this is true in always when you do these kavanot, when you do the Hamshahat, they always go from up down, and they can never skip over each other. What's below starts with below, and then the next one, and the next one, next one. It always works that way. And in sometimes in the kavanot, and especially in the Siddur Yareh, we always see that he shows you everything, and then you lose some of them as they go down. Yeah, the ones stay on top, and the other ones carry on going down. Okay, but in some Siddur they didn't create that system. People were very poor, and when they finally printed something, there were lots of mistakes in it and lots of things missing. And there's a whole system in Yerushalayim amongst the Mekubalim, where they learn to cover the mistakes. But they pinch something from one page, which for some another cover now, and use that name to remember that that's what you have to do on that page, even if it's got nothing to do with it, just in order for them to remember the system, how to make it work. Yeah?
This wouldn't be as confusing with Panim Dachor because only one goes down at a time, right? You don't bring two at once.
Yeah, they come one at a time. Yeah, one at a time. I just need to get a tissue. Over here, which is a nice sikkum. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, line beginning 9, and the last word there's a square bracket with the word bechesed. Beseder Arvit. Yeah. So now, Rabbi Nayahu Atiyah is explaining to us the order. The order. Yeah. So, Chaim, בכבוד. Yeah. בסדר הזה. בסדר הזה.
כתב הרב?
לא, בסדר הזה.
בסדר הזה?
כן, בסדר הזה.
בסדר הזה שבאחד
תשמע.
תשמע, ייכנס בזה, פרקין תתהין ואמצעין, דנאי דאימה.
So that's what we did. Remember, there's another level above this, which we haven't brought in, which is called the Chabad, the actual orot of the Chabad, right? Before, in the Tzelem, all the orot were above. Two rows are brought in. This is called Pirkin Sa'id, Pirkin Tata'in. These are called the Pirkin Tata'in, the lower Pirkin, and these are called the middle Pirkin, and these are the Pirkin Ila'in, which is Chabad. Yeah? So we understood what we just said, right? That's what just happened. Okay, and again we look in the Siddur, page Shin, page Tet, that is what happens. So what I would do is take a pencil and draw in Kelim like this, you know, the Kelim. That's why I do my Siddur. My Siddur is full of this on every page. We've got a pack of pencils there if you want. Still, I haven't taken them home yet, and rulers if you want.
Have you got one
On
spare?
the shelf. On the shelf, yeah. Take this one.
Thank you.
Why does he only mention 9?
We'll leave out the Keter. Can you see that? The back pack of pencils? Yeah, should be around there somewhere.
He doesn't say it, he says 9. The same then saying the 19.
Raise it here if anybody needs as well.
Pencil.
So just for more explanation, the Nanachi which we learned about last week, the week before, are what we're calling, for all our intents and purposes, those are the Orot. They're not really the Orot because above them is the real Orot, but this is what you're allowed to show in physics, like you're allowed to describe. Above that we're not allowed to talk to describe it. We're not allowed to depict it. Yeah? So these are the Nanachi, they come in. Underneath them, these Shema are Mohin. Right? They're actually called the Mohin. In general, we call everything Mochin, but really these are the Bechina, the real Prate, you know, what's called the Mochin. These are these names, Yaku, Aki, Yakim. I'm explaining why these names are like that, but whenever you have a Mochin, it's usually one of the names of Ekieh, Binui, or Kasa, Kana, Kama, Gabsak, Ma'bed. It's one of those names. So that's the Mochin. And underneath are the Kelim. Yeah, so we've explained already over a number of weeks now there's Kelim, and we have to bring the Mochin into the Kelim, right? So with them, the Nanachi comes with them. There's also Levushim in between them, but the Levushim are not shown over here. The Levushim are actually from Abba and Ima. Naiv Abba, it goes to Naiv Ima, and then it comes into the Levush. Yeah? Yeah?
Quick question.
Good?
Is it a 3-stage process then? The first phase, followed
Sometimes
by
it,
Mohin,
sometimes it is.
and then into the Kelim.
Yes, I mean like that, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually a 5-stage, called somewhere this. This is all 5.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
That's right.
So now we've done Vak the Gadol Deima. So if anybody asks you, what is Shema? What's the purpose of Shema in terms of Hamshahat Mohin? So the most important word in terms of that is Ehad. Because in Ehad we bring the Vak the Gadol Deima, which is Ima's Tvuna, which is after Ach. It's called Ima. Yes, that says over here in the page before that, Hamshahat Mohin the Gadlut. So let's read what it says on page, bottom of Shin Pei Zayin. Ve'ata yechavel lamshich havak. What's the vak? Pirkin imtza'im, pirkin tata'in. The mochin de gadlut, shehen chacham bagadati denai vechagat. So chacham bagadati is all of the ones, but of them actually we're only bringing the nai and the chagat. Yeah, the chabad de bina, right? Why is it Chabad de Bina? We're not going to talk about right now, because it really means Bina. The word saying Bina means the Bina means of the Chabad, of the 3. The Naidit Tfuna means everything that we do during Chol, because in Chol what we're doing is called the Bina of Zah, the whole of Chol, and even on Shabbat it's also still the Bina. Until Shabbat morning it's all Bina the Zah, but during the week we do the Nai of the Bina the Zah. The night of Tvuna, it's called, yeah. And then the Chagat of that is in Kabbalat Shabbat. And then the Chabad of that is in Shachrit until Baruch Hu, until Nishmat Kol Chai. Okay, and that was all the Tvuna that we're talking about, the night. So the night is during Chol. So in Chol we take that night, we divide it into 7 days, and then we divide it into Shachar and Charavit, and it's all in this night, which is called Chol. So you could actually write on
From the
top of
whole
that
week.
word, the night, the word Chol. Yeah?
From the whole week?
From the whole week we're only doing the night.
No, on Shabbat, from
Yeah.
the whole week,
Yeah.
we're bringing down all the
What do you mean from Shabbat?
on Shabbat,
On Shabbat, we finish the night, then we jump to the next level, which is called Chagat.
for the whole all the weeks, every single day is one.
Exactly. That's what greatest of Shabbat is. It does all what took me 7 days to do the 9, and just like that, one Kabbalat Shabbat, start singing, and then Chazan says so Chazanu, and then you've done 7 times as much on a high level, all in one go. When you say boy kala, that's the it's machloket in whether you should say the whole of L'chadod. In Betel they never said it. Yes, some places they did say. Okay, Ima Mochin. So all of that was talking about the Nanachi. Then it says Ima Mochin. So the Mochin are these bits in the middle of the page. Aki. So that's the Mochin of the same makbil parallel concepts, parts. Yeah, Ima Mochin. Now it's called the opening me did tzaddik did tzelem. Tzaddik did tzelem. There's a tzaddik, a lamed, and a mem. The tzelem is divided into 3 parts. In other words, chabal chagat nai. The nai of the tzelem is called the tzaddik. So just like we're bringing the tzaddik over, the nai over there, so we're bringing the tzaddik over here. And then it's another breakdown based on the names of the mochin. And then at the end of it says imana nachi shalem, which we already mentioned. So we turn the page and we see it. So that's basically a kavanah that we have now learned and can be practiced. Okay, so as we're concerned, when the Rashash says that you start by gadlut of Ehad of Shema, talking about this, we just explain how to do it. We just read over here. That's the first stage. The next stage is going to be right. So in this sikum over here, it says Ehad b'Shema. Right, that's what happened, and we just did it. ואחר כך, what does it say? בתיבת שיעור שמתחיל באמצעים.
ואחר כך בתיבות אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ולא יעקב ייכנסו פרקים עליונים דנאי דאימה וגם
אתה לא מנגן, ייכנסו פרקים עליונים דנאי דאימה. כן?
הניגון, אין טעמים פה.
דקה? ייכנסו פרקים עליונים, right? So we did אמצעים, we did תתאים,
תתאים דנאי דאבא.
וגם ייכנסו פרקים תתאים דנאי דאבא. כל כך מנגנים, כן? כן? הרב עטיה מאוד מקפיד על זה, זה כמו העיראקים, כן?
זה גמר, אני לא מבין.
כן.
כמו שבלי ניגון.
הוא
מלמד שונה בלי ניגון. גמר, אני לא מבין.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Whoever reads in the shiur can only you have to have practice on how to read. Like it's easy to read when I go there, but like actually the main reader in the shiur is Moshe Chapush's son. He's a big rav, and he's got a nice voice. Iraqi, he's the main one. You take anything and read it, unbelievable. So you really understand what's being said. It's how you medayik it. Okay, so again we go back. ואחר כך בתיבת אלוקי אברהם, אלוקי יצחק ואלוקי יעקב ייכנסו פרקים עליונים דנאי דאימה. Right? Because until now we did אמצעים and תתאים, now we do עליונים, right? Which called Chabad. Right? So we now need to go to אלוקי, אלוקי, אלוקי and see what happens. Yeah? So, you see, what we're trying to do over here is to fulfill that summary of the Rashash, and to understand there's lots in the Siddur that it's a sea of information, of details and details and details. But we're going to take out certain parts and just do those parts in the beginning to understand what the Ikar is. So we're jumping all the way from Ehad of Shema. We didn't explain what happens in the Parashiot of Shema. We didn't explain what happens in Ve'emunah Kol Zov. We didn't explain what happens in Hashem Sefatai Tiftach. Not Baruch Atah Hashem Shmoneh Esrei. We go straight to Elokei. Right? We go straight to Elokei. Now, Elokei, obviously now we're learning, yeah, if you were learning Mishnah Berurah, there'd be no significance to this, like, why Elokei? Why those words and not any other words, yeah? We're not learning Mishnah Berurah now, we're understanding how Anshe Knesset Gedolah formulated the words. I'm sure the Mishnah Berurah knew what we're talking about, we just didn't have to talk about it in Mishnah Berurah. Yeah, because it's before. You have to go back before, yeah. Yeah. So we start with Elokei Abraham. Okay. Now we want to bring the yellow ones. Okay, Rabotai. Now, if we did have time to go into Prate Pratiyut, we would understand that there's a seder which is very, very, very meduyak, and Rav Shaul Brecher Cohen and Ehad of Shema goes into the details of what happens. It's basically how a child is born and what happens at each stage. There's actually 3 zivugim, and there's 3 holadot. There's ibur, yenikan, holadah. There's all different stages. And although we don't see it, it's like when the mother's nursing, there's like a new birth that happens, and the child grows up with a yenika. And then when it becomes 9 in one day, if it's a boy, then there's another stage. It becomes the end of being a katan. And between 9 in one day and 13 in one day, that's when he finishes the whole bagrut, and then it becomes a gadol. So sometimes we need a zivug for that particular stage. There's zivugim that take place, but they're not all in the siddur. We have to learn Etz Chaim to see where they are when they're not what was put in the siddur. What we know is if we turn one page back to Avotenu, the bottom of Avotenu is Ayin Zayin, you see there's a zivug. So let's read Avotenu. Okay, now again, in my siddur, right? I don't have a pencil now, they're over there. But I take a line and I divide sections. So Avotenu to me is a new section. Keep it separate to the section above it. I put a line across. Okay? And when there's a zivug, I haven't seen the colored. Using colours is a whole problem because the old school don't like it. They don't like trying to say this surah is this colour and that one is that one. There's a rabbi called Rav Bar El from it's a siddur downstairs of his, and he made the whole siddur, all the kavanot with colours, yellow, blue, green, and a lot of rabbis are against it. But he's a big, massive Talmid Chacham. It's his own system. Why did he choose those colours, and what's it got to do with the price of cheese? That's his own business, right? Chose certain colours. Because it does say in Shara Ruach HaKodesh, certain olamot have got certain colours. So there is such a thing as we have to choose. So we have to then do it according to that. It's very complicated. What I've done in my siddurim is use only red and black. So I use red when I'm talking about in the explanation of something, but not in the kavanot themselves. But whenever there's a zivug, I put it in a white box with a shade around it, so I can see it very clearly, like this. Right? This is a zivug. It says Eki Havaya. That zivug is very important. You want it to stand out when you look at it. So you're going through the siddur, you see the zivug. Amazing. I didn't even do it straight. That zivug. Let's read what it says. It says, Klalut Arba Mochin, Hanimshachim be'elokei Avraham, elokei Yitzchak, ve'elokei Yaakov. That means we're going to bring the Chabad down. It says Arba Mochin, because really, Chesed, Chochma Bina Da'at, in the Da'at there's Chasadim and Gvorot, so there are really 4 Mochin, not 3. But we call it Chabad. Chabad is called 3, but Shehu Shalosh, Shehu Arba. Shalosh Shehu Arba. Yeah? So really there's 4, and it, yeah. Yechaver lezaveg av abba ve'ima de pnimiyut bechinat or pnimi. Okay, all that means is when you do pnimiyut, so that ekia is before the havaya. So you start with aleph yud instead of yud aleph. Right? In the chitzoniyut, it's the other way around because the ekia is higher. So in the pnimi, the ekia is first. Kedei leha'ir b'mochin nitzalem de'abba v'tlat b'kin ilayin v'chole v'chole. Okay, it's Shimuchanim likanet bereshet ezah. So there's a whole avodah that's taking place that through the zivug you're being molid these orot, which is called Chabad, so that they can be above the head of Zab. Means they haven't come in yet, and then we'll turn the page and they'll come in. So this zivug over here of the gar is the zivug that brings them into Zab. So we had a zivug before in Ehad of Shema. Remember? Abba ve'ima, after we went through Absak Dak, we came on to Abba ve'ima, then there was a Ner, and yeah? So that was only for the Vak. So we did the Vak. Now we need another zivug for the Gar. Yeah? And that's actually what happens, yeah, in the stage of the when the Mochin of the Chabad. When we say Mochin, the actual word Mochin means Chabad. It means Moach Chochma, Moach Bina, Moach Da. Mochin means like the brains, yeah? It's in the skull. Another way to explain what that word means. But it's a word which is used relative to mean different things. In general, mochin means all which are coming down. But the mochin in the guf basically is chokhmah bin adat. So enough theory. Now we turn the page. Ein chet Elokei Avraham. What do we see? we see, let's look at the names of the kli. Now look at the right side of the page. The right side of the page is still dealing with these ones. The left side of the page is dealing with these ones, going to Abba, right? So what we're seeing is that something is going into Chokhmah. What's going into Chokhmah? So we look at the name of the Eke and the Havaya, and it's Patach. Patach is Chokhmah. So Chokhmah is going into Chokhmah. So why doesn't it say on the top, Perek Elyon, Chokhmah, the Ima, or the Chokhmah of the Tzelem of Ima? Why does it call it Perek Elyon de Netzach?
Because it's being pushed down, isn't it?
So it's because in this Kavanah we're dealing with Levushim, which I said to you before, there's Mohin and there's Levushim, right? So there's a reason why, but we're not going to go into it now. But there's a whole reason why. I'm going to do it on this side of the board, keep it separate, right? When we talk about the Mohin, so we say these are the Mohin, okay? These are Mohin, yeah? Above then you've got Narnechi. And then you've got Levushim. And then you've got,
Okay.
you've actually got before the Slamim as well, but let's leave the Slamim because let's put the Slamim over there somewhere, right? But Salmei Mochim, right? And then you've got the Kelim. Kelim is easy, right? Levushim we haven't talked about. So what are really the Levushim? The answer is like this. When the Tzelem is 10 Sfirot, like this, right? This is the Tzelem. It divides into 3 Levushim. So when this Tzelem comes in with the Mochin, it has to come inside the Levush. The Levush, like, let me use a different color. It has to come inside the Levush. This is one Levush, this is another Levush, and this is another Levush, right? And these Levushim is Netzach of Ima, Hod of Ima, and Yesod of Ima. There's a problem because Ima's Yesod is only 2 flights high. There's nothing, it's only He'ara. Not like a male's one. And there's another levush that goes inside that levush which comes from Abba. So use another color. We should get a blue for Abba, but let's use purple. Right? So there's another levush which is inside the red one which came from Abba, which is inside of these. Okay? It's complicated. But this levush is only the Netzach, Hod, and Yisod of Ima. So when the woman gives birth, can be a Chod, she puts her legs up, right? And her Netzach, Hod, and Yisod, meaning her legs, go into the baby. And inside his Neshama is inside those legs. In the Netzach, Hod, and Yisod. Right? And then when she puts her legs down, she gets a new set of legs. Right? That's what happens in Ima Elyon, and that's basically Kabir Chol when she gives birth, what happens. Meaning, the Levush, it goes with the Mochin into the Kelim. It goes into the baby. So this Levush has got 3 levels. So you got Netzach 1, Netzach 2, Netzach 3, Hod 1, Hod 2, Hod 3, and same thing with Yesod. So when we're talking about the Chabad level, so it's in Netzach 1 always, and Hod 1. Understand? It's that part of the Levush, which is as a top third of the Netzach, Hod and Yesod. So when you look at the Siddur, and it says over here, Perek Elyon, because it's Chabad, so it has to be the Perek Elyon of the Netzach. So, in other words, inside this Kli, there's a Levush that came down as well from Ima. And it's called Netzach 1, Netzach 2, Netzach 3. Right? And in this particular Kavanah, we're interested in the Levush. And I can't tell you why right now. Okay?
And it's called Netzach just to confuse.
It's called
us.
Netzach 1. So now, when you talk about, now let's get prepared for Abba. Let's get ourselves prepared. Right?
And the levush of Abba will be inside out.
Yeah. But that is already just information that we don't need at this point. It's not relevant to us right now. But if we talk about now the Tzelem which has to come from Abba on the next one, I haven't got enough of the same colour. After my daughter's board. So let's do it like that, okay? So if this is going to be the Nai, what's this called? This bottom row is called the Pirkin Tata'in of the Narnechi, right? So when they're going to come in here, we're going to go back to it. I just want to show you. When they go back in here, which levush are they in?
Netzach 1.
Netzach 3.
Oh, right, because it's around them
because the levush goes with the mochin.
Right,
You understand?
okay.
Doesn't go with the kli. Goes with the levush. Yeah. So if you look at this on the left place of the page, it says Pirkin Tata'in, right? Do you understand what the Siddur is telling us? Huh? But what we're interested in the Hamshacha over here is that when you say Elokei Avraham, this one comes over here. So now there's two in the same place. The mitpazel, one in front, one behind. That's Elokei Avraham. Elokei Yitzchak, that one goes like that. Elokei Avraham, the Yaakov, I mean, over there.
Sorry, can you say that? Why hasn't it pushed it down?
Because it's going into Chochmah Bin and Da. Elokei Avraham.
Oh, it has pushed it down.
They don't go down, the other ones. They stay where they are. Elokei, they stay where they are. So you've got two and one clean.
Right, okay.
Right? So when you're looking at the right side of the page, Perek Elyon Netzach Ne'ima, which is really, in the Mochin, is really Chochmah. Right? Chochmah's going into Chochmah. Right? But who's in Chochmah already? Chesed. So you got Chesed and Chochmah in Chochmah. You wouldn't know that if you looked at this page. You have to know what was before. When was that? Ehad of Shema. Right? So if you want to draw a little page of your own, first of all, we can do what I'm saying is to put the kelim, put a nice 3 box around it, so you know it's a kli. You want to follow my advice, what I do. Right? Now, yeah. Now this time we didn't bring any names of mochin, right? When we start with Abba though, there's special names of mochin. So when you look at the left side, you can see there's the milui, it's called mu. It's called mu. The milui of Ab is called mu. The milui of Sag is called yaz, mulaz, and the milui of Ma is called yat, mulaz yat, right? So mu is the letters which are the milui of the term Ab, as you can see in the page. Yeah. So generally, my mochin, I put them in a square box. So when we do Elokei and we bring these ones down for Abba, right? They're called Mu. You know why they're called Mu? Because it's Gematria, Elokei. Rabbi Shul says always the Mochin will always go with the name of the part of the tefillah that you're doing. Right? So over here they're called, the Nai of Abba is called Mu, and it will be like that throughout the Siddur later on as well.
Where are we looking?
Elokei, yeah.
The Mochin in the middle.
You see, with him there's no Mochin, but with Abba there is.
Right, okay.
Huh? Yeah, the Levush is that side, because it's the right side. Yeah. So we only bring it back this one down.
But where's the actual?
Yeah, because you're looking at the Levush.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's,
good.
Looking at the name of the Levush. We're not doing Tzelem here. We're doing Levush. It's Kavanah, okay. Remember, we let's see. Look, it doesn't go into the. It doesn't talk about the Tzelem anymore. It's talking about the Levush. The Nanach is not here. This is actually the Levush. Right? It's a whole question why, but that's a whole sugya. Yeah, that's something. You're right. It's a big problem. Right. No, but anyway, what are you actually asking? Because it is Netzach that comes in. Netzach comes in the morning. Netzach is in the Nanach. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, so I'll take that back. They don't have to call it the bush. You can still call it the Nanach. You're right. Yeah, I said more than I needed to. Not necessary. Not necessary to say that. Okay, so Rabotai, we did 2 things in the Elokei Avraham. We brought down, so these ones haven't come in yet. Going back to the beginning, right? Elokei Avraham, we bring down these ones of Ima, and we put them into Chochmah. And we bring also the Netzach of Abba, from Netzach Chodisot. So now let's read what he wrote over here. Let's see how he wrote it. Achar kach v'tiavad Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yisrael, Elokei Yaakov, Ikatzu Perkei Elyonim, denied the Ima. So that means Elokei, and then Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei, then that one also will come in, and Elokei Yaakov. Because you have to remember the Abba as well. It says Vegam Yikanzu Perkan Tata'in denied the Abba. Yeah. So we got Elyonim of Ima because that's the Chabad, and the Tata'im of Abba, which is called Nai. Samja? Yeah, you got it? Yeah. Versteht? Chaim, versteht? Okay, אפשר להמשיך? אפשר לקדם? Yeah? So again, Ein Chet, page Ein Chet, Elokei Abraham. We bring the Netzach, sorry, the Chochmah of Ima and the Netzach of Abba. Elokei Yitzhak, yeah. Then we bring down Hod of Ima and the Petachton. Sorry, not Hod. Sorry, the Bina of Ima. Here, this one, and the Hod of Abba. And we put them into these ones. All going to the cleaning of Chabad. Yeah. So that was Chochmah and Bina. We put the boxes around the Bina if you want as well. If you haven't done it already. On the next page, you can put your boxes around it. Kelim. Elokei Yaakov. What's good when you do the boxes now? You've learned something now. You open the Siddur, you can turn straight to that page and say, that's what we did. Yeah. So bits in between you can skip. So we learn them. And we get to Elokei Yaakov, you can see that the dart is going into the dart on the Ima side, and the Yisod is going into the dart on the Abba side, which is this one over here. Dart. This is actually Yisod going into dart. Yeah, Pekinta Ta'in of Abba. Yeah? So now we carry on. What's next over here? What does it say? Carry on. Ubeteva Gomel. You want to read?
בתיבות קונה?
We haven't got there yet. You're jumping. שויה.
ובתיבות גומל.
ובתיבות גומל.
כי נמצאים דנאי.
So now we go to Gomel, and guess what Gomel tells us? Sadiq Gimel. So we look at Sadiq Gimel. Look what we've got. We've got Chagat coming into Chabad, and we've got Nai going into Chagat. Can you see? So let's start with the right side. So really what's actually happening is, this Nai is moving down to Chagat, and this Chesed is pushing it down. Chesed goes into Chokhmah, and it pushes the Netzach into Chesed. Clear Chesed. Understand? And that's what you can see on the right side. Yeah. So do your box around it. Yeah. And tell me what you can see in the Mohin. What do you see in the Mohin in Chesed, and what do you see in the Mohin in the Mohin of the Chesed which goes to Chokhmah? What Shem is it?
Gematria Gomel.
Yes. Absolutely. 3 Havayot. Havaya. Right?
26.
Adds up to 78. Right? 3 times 26. Gematria Gomel. So you get 3 Havayot, that's the name of the Mochin. And the moves which were the Nais have moved down to Chagat. So we can then do the same thing on the Kav small, right? Which is
What are they called?
the Gevurah. This one is the middle one, right? So this is the Gevurah. Perkin Emtsaim is Gevurah. So Gevurah goes into Bina, and it causes the Netzach to move down into the Gevurah. Yeah? And then Yisod goes into the Da'at, and it causes the not this one, sorry, the Tiferet goes into the Da'at, and it causes the Yisod to go into the Tiferet. Everything went down one level.
What are these Mochin called?
Look, you see the boxes Havaya, you can put a square box around it. See Havaya, and each one there's a Havaya.
What's the Shem? Kab. Is it called Kab?
Havaya.
No.
Hawa, you know what Hawa is in Arabic?
No.
Hashem Hawaya. Baruch Hu v'yipach Hashem ruach. The Hawa means air.
Hawa.
Hawa. That's why Shem Hawaya, the Iraqis say Hawaya. That's Hawaya.
No,
Baruch Hu he blew.
the other ones are called Mu. So
The Mu was the Nai. The Haga, the Mochin are called 3 times Havaya, which is Gematria Gomel.
Oh, they don't
Because
have
that's
a
what
nice
happens
name.
in Gomel.
No.
Huh?
They don't have a nice name like Mu.
Havaya is a beautiful name. I can't get rid of that. Okay, so the next stage, what's the next stage? Koneh. Okay, so we carry on with Tivah, Koneh Hakol. No?
בתיבות קונה.
בתיבות קונה.
Koneh Hakol.
קונה הכל. ייכנסו פרקין אל העין דנאי דאבא.
Katsu Pirkei Lain denied the Abba. So the Pirkei Lain is Chabad, right? So now you have, what's this, Rabotai? This is the Chokhmah of the Mochin, right? The Chokhmah goes into the Chokhmah. And what was there before? Chesed was there, right? So the Chesed goes to the Chesed. And what was there before? The Netzach. The Netzach goes to the Netzach. And then you do the next side. This is now the Bina. Bina goes into Bina. And it takes the Gura and puts it into the Gura. And then the Hod goes into the Hod. And then what's this one? Da'at. Da'at goes into Da'at. What was there before? Tiferet. Tiferet goes to Tiferet. What was there before Yisod? Yisod goes to all of Abba is in place. Right? What we skipped by was something in between because it's not in that Sikkum. Right? But well, I'll go back now and do the bit that we missed because it's we didn't take time to do it properly. Right? So let's just go back to where we were before this page. But you can understand what happens on this page. You understand in Koneh Hakol, let's see inside. See Koneh Hakol inside, you can see here. Koneh Hakol, page, it's actually on page Kuf Aleph. Starts on Kuf Aleph. Kuf. Koneh Hakol. So Koneh Hakol, Koneh Hakol, right? What's Koneh? But you take Ab, 72, times it by 3. What's 72 times 3? 216, right? So Koneh Hakol is 216.
זה ויעבור.
Yeah, ויעבור, Torah, many things, yeah. So the Koneh Hakol, Abrayu. Koneh Hakol, Rayu. Koneh Hakol is 3 times Ab. So there's 3 Abs. That's what the Mochin is called Abs. So you see the Abs, you can put square things around them and you can make your Kelim. And then you'll see the new ones coming in, which was the Pirkei Elyonim, right? So they came in. And then you've got the Pirkei Imtsaim, which is the Yukevavke. And they push down, right? So they've done it like Rav Darzi over here. So you've got the long Shema of the Katnut. But if you turn the page all the way to Kuf Dalet, then you'll see the Nai going into the Nai. So it starts on Kuf and it ends on Kuf Dalet. That's what we're talking about. So you can do all the Kelim and boxes around the Shemot. And you're on the business. Okay, now I'm going to go back to before when this happened. So before this happened, these were still up there, and these were here. This was the Matzah in Gomel. Right? And let's go in before Gomel, go back to where it was Elokei. This is how it was in Elokei. Yeah? Now, what we need to do is to have these one go into their place. So in Elokei, Abraham, Elokei, Yitzchak, Elokei, Yaakov, we said there's 2 lots of Orot, which are the Kelim on the top level. Yeah? So these need to go down. So I'll show you how, we'll see how it goes down. If you go to Ha'el, so let's see, Elokei was on page Ayin Chet, right? Ayin Tet and Pei, right? And then we had Ha'el. So in Ha'el, what happens is there's an in-between stage which is called the Garon, where the neck is, right? And so these ones, which were the Chagat, they need to get to Chagat and the Nai needs to get to Nai. So what happens in Ha'el, after we build the up, is these ones go to the Garon. They're kind of in limbo, right? So you look at the page, Pei, Hey, right? So if you want, you can take a line. Where it says the word in the middle of the page, Achar kach yechaven lidchot, yeah? So above that, you can make a horizontal line because it's different kavanah. So we jump into this kavanah in the middle of the page. Yeah? Right? And then we see the words, it says, Achar kach yechaven lidchot pirkei emsaim. What's pirkei emsaim? No? Chagat. Chagat, yeah. So you can write above the word in saying, write the words Chagat.
Where are you using Sam?
In the middle of the page. Yeah. Yechaven lidchot pirkei emsaim deny the ima the gadlut, deny the ima the gadlut, right? Right? Forget why it's deny the ima because it's talking about the levush that we mentioned earlier. Okay. Legaron, right? So, so in my book I put a big box around the word Garon, because that's where I know it's going. You see, look, what we're doing over here, we're going to the Garon. I mean, they came down to the Garon. Yeah? So if you like, can you underline the word Garon? I put a box around it.
I've got
Yeah?
those differences.
Yeah, but can you see what's happened is the Chagat. So this Kavanah is only Chagat. Chagat used to be in the Chabad, and it came to the Garon. But it didn't yet get to where it belongs. Where does it belong? It belongs in the Chagat. What's Chagat? Chesed is the Zerah Yamin, right? Gura is the Zerah small, and Tiferet is the Guf. So the Garon is above there. So before it was in the Chabad, it came down to the Garon. So they fall down to the Garon. That's what you do in this Kavanah. Yeah. There's also Mohin the Katnot, which we haven't learned about, but that's the Elokim that you see. Havai Elokim that you see at the bottom.
Why didn't they say down to
You have to ask Hashem. I don't know. After 120. Because then it'd be too easy. Is that the way that Sheikh Hassan understood? The Rashash explains that each stage is a tikkun. There's something that happens in the Garon. This is the real answer. When you get to the Garon, this kavanah of the Garon is also in Tehilot Lail Elyon. I almost get to the time when I can start with the Chazan. Then I get then this last bit, Shema Chadashah bit. It takes a minute or so to do it, right? So you have to go to the Garon. As the Shir comes to the Garon, Shema Chadashah, that's where it happens, right? So there's Avodah in the Garon, right? So they have to go to the Garon. There's a mitakev over there, right?
Is this Garon of Ak?
No, it's the Garon of Zah.
No, but is it? It's nothing to do with.
No, we're putting
We're
it into
in
Zah.
Zah,
We're
but-
putting everything into Zah.
Usually when you go Hashem for something, it's from Ak.
What do you mean?
You call Ak the Netzach, now you're calling Garon. What's it got to do with it? It's nothing to do with anything.
Everything we spoke about is like the guf. This is the guf of Zah. So the Chabad is the head. That's the Resha. The Mochin is where the brains are, right? And then you got the Garon, and then they'll take you. This is the right arm, the left arm, and this is the body. There's the left leg, right leg, and Yisod.
Okay.
And we're building Zah. There's Partzuf, like a Partzuf. Yeah. So now we still didn't finish the job. So where does it happen? Hagadol. Right? So you go to page Zayin, and you see Chesed is going into Chesed. Right? That's the first thing. You can put a box around the Kelim, the three things, and we can put Chesed into Chesed. Right? And then underneath that, Nai goes into Nai. Habibi, the right side is done. Full house, bingo. You get the booby prize for that. Yeah. There's another cover on Pei Zayin, but it's nice to do with us. That's where the Hasadim, which were created in the dark, go into the Chesed as well. Because now we're in Makom HaChesed, which is here, which is the right arm. So something else happens over there as well. Okay, but we're just on the right side of the page, and we push down the Kav Yamin into everything's in place now. Yeah, I say everything's in place, but actually, it says in Etz Chaim that this doesn't actually go down. Only the time of the Beit HaMikdash it goes down. But it's only Me'ir, so only the Ha'ara goes down. Only on Shabbat, it's like how the Beit HaMikdash was. Our Shabbat is like how it was at the time of the Beit HaMikdash all week long. So there's a whole extra cheshbon over there till you get to Ritzei.
The Kalim on the
It
left
goes down
side
at
of
Ritzei. Huh?
The Kalim on the left hand side of the page has nothing to do with these.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's Chasadim. It's another story. Then we turn the page. Hagibor. Same thing happens over here. Gura goes to Gura. Hod goes into Hod. Yeah. And then the Hanora. You can put your boxes in if you want. And then both. You see Gura to Gura and then Hod into Hod. Yeah. The last one is Tiferet into Tiferet and Yisod into Yisod is on page Sadik Aleph. Yeah. That goes into there and it pushes that down to there. That's what happened before we got to Koneh Hakol. So now we've done all the stages of what's mentioned over here. Okay? ובתיבת Koneh Hakol, you can't speak anything that I did above. Let's read it again. I'm going to do it slowly. ובתיבת Koneh Hakol, you can't speak anything. deny the Abba. So I missed Gomel. Before that was Gomel. B'teva Gomel, you can't Pirkei Nitzayim deny the Abba. So these are Pirkei Nitzayim go over there, and these ones get pushed down to there. And in Koneh Hakol, you can't Pirkei Nitzayim deny the Abba. Then these ones go into there, and it actually goes right, left, and side. So it's just explaining what we just did. עוד צריך לדעת שכאשר נכנסים רק פרקין התתאים דנאי הם ניכנסו בחב"ד. With Abba, it worked differently. When the night came in, it didn't come in as a vak. It came in only as the prinkin tatayim. When the night went into Chabad with Abba. וכאשר ייכנסו פרקין נמצאים לחב"ד, ידחו הפרקין תתאים בחג הדזה. So when the next one came, we pushed them into the second level. כאשר ייכנסו הפרקין לעין, and when the top ones come in, the night they are Chabad, ידחו אמצעים בחג התתאים ידחו בעיניי. Exactly as we explained it. That's why I explained it. So a nice explanation of how it works. So this kavanah, we can do it now. Okay, so now this is it's the end, but it's not the end, because the truth is, after this happens, right, there's more things that have to finish off the Knisat of the Mohin, like the Keter, which we haven't done. We have to build the Keter. Keter always comes last. It's like you do 7 weeks of Shvat Omer, and when you come to the night of the Limud, 24 books, then we have to do the Nais and the Keters of which we're missing. But the actual Keter, the proper Keter we build, we go to the Mikvah. Yeah? So it has to come at the end. First you have everything else and then the Keter. Because the Keter actually isn't part of the Guf. There's a Keter. The Keter that we talk about, when we say Keter, is really Chabad. I think I'm talking
Something
nonsense,
Keter Mazon
right?
as well, no?
Keter is actually Chabad. Inside the Keter.
Keter Mazon, no?
Yeah.
In the morning,
Yeah.
afterwards,
Yeah.
it's in the
But
Keter
that's
Mazon.
something else. Oh, you mean talking about Shavuot? Because
Yeah,
Shavuot
Shavuot,
is
yeah.
the whole avodah. It's like the whole of Sfirat Omer again in one meal. You do the whole chitzoni of everything. But like the Korban HaOmer, it's in place of the Korban, the Ma'aseh. The Tefillah is not the Ma'aseh, it's the Dibur. So the Pnimiut HaOlamot. But then when you do that Suda, when you come home after Nets, that is metaken like all the 7 weeks of the Omer in one Suda, the Chitzoniot. Yeah. That's the Chitzoniut, but the Tefillah is the Pnimiut, it's higher. So Rabotai, this was a bit about the Keter, so just something to think about for next time. Right? The Keter actually, inside there's Chabad, there's another stage called in the Darts, called the trade to the Dart. That's really the Chabad. The Chokhmah and the Bina are parts of the Keter. You want to know what I'm talking about? What I'm explaining to you is that the Keter which is inside the Guf is already there. It's already part of this. There's another Keter, which is a Keter ala Rosh, the Keter Malchut. That is actually the Tiferet of Imat. It's above. It's not part of Za or Nuk. It's actually never becomes. It's like when you wear a hat. It's described in Es Chaim that the Rosh goes inside the Halal of the hat, but the hat actually is just it's like floating in the air. The head, understand? And the head is inside there. But the actual Keter Malchut, Yisrael Melech Keter Malchut al Rosha, Esther Malka, it's not her. It's on her. It's not part of her physical body. The Keter is not part of the Guf, right? Right? It's Ayin. It means it's the Malchut, or in this case, it's Tiferet of the Olam above it, that becomes resident in Zah.
But that's what we brought out. That was.
When you have the letter Lamed, so it's like this. It goes behind the head, which is the shape of the skull, and then there's a bit of the Lamed that goes up with its Rosh, and that's the Keter, which is above the head. We haven't done this. So this Keter, nothing to do with this right now. It's in Koneh Hakol, at the end of Koneh Hakol.
But
That Keter.
Malchut we said was below Zah. It's what we brought up. It's the only thing that
Which
fell down.
Malchut? We didn't have Malchut, we did up to
We didn't have Malchut too, but it
Oh,
fell. We said that it fell down. No? That's the only thing that fell down, and that we brought
That's the Malchut, that's the Malchuyot of Zah, that's a Nefesh of Zah, that's a different story. I'm not talking about that anymore. That's something else altogether. In Zah itself, there's different parts of film, and one's called Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Chidah. So now, after we went to, when we got to Ehad of Shema, and we went up and we fixed them all with 20 parts, 10 and 10, so we don't have that as business of only the Malchut anymore. We've got all the Sfirot of Zah. Right? In the Yesod of Zah, there's 3 parakim, and the bottom one's called the Ateret HaYesod. That's the Malchut of Zah, part of the Yesod. So that's why we don't talk about the Malchut of Zah is the whole of Nuk. That's another Malchut. See, the whole of Nuk is called Malchut. So Malchut is something has to understood more depth to understand what you mean when you say Malchut. It can mean many things. All right, but we in the Kabbalah do this. We only have to know there's 9 that we have to bring down, and the Keter is done afterwards. That was the point of it. But if we would understand something called Drush Hadat, the Rashash at the end of Dar Shalom goes into Drush Hadat, and he quotes a drasha from the Maruch Rav Chaim Vitali wrote it himself, and he said, at the end of my learning, Mori, remember he only learned with him 18 months. So at the end of my learning, he taught me this Drush Hadat, and then the Drush Hadat, it's like a key. It explains all the Sfirot is not how we think it is. It's got different names. And he said, without this, lo lamata shum davar me'achochma hazeh. You can't understand anything. And so the Rashash explains it, and there's a whole context on the Shalom of that. And then the later generations, like Rabbi Shaul and all, is all trying to explain the Siddur according to Drush Hadat. And when you learn it that way, it means that the real learning, what all they learn in the universities and all of that, Kabbalah Center, I don't know haven't got it right, because they don't learn Drush Hadat. It's only passed down by word of mouth. It's very hard to learn it from inside. But it's just another way of understanding that there really isn't 3 levels, there's 4 levels. But that's for the future, B'ezrat Hashem. And even the Siddur HaShash, when it writes it, at the bottom of the Zagat, it says, we really know that when it says this, it doesn't mean this, because we know the Drush Hadat. And if you want to misadder the Siddur called Drush Hadat, you have to do it by yourself. So my Rebbe, Rabbi Tia, has done it. Yeah? So he's explained everything with Drush Hadat. And Morgenstern also very big in Drush Hadat. And otherwise it's done in a way that when you say that, you really mean you had something else when you know what it means. It's like a key. That A really means this and that really means that. You understand? But then it all makes sense because it makes more sense when you understand how it works. Anyway, Baruch Hashem, today we've done the first of the 13 sections, which is Hamshahat Mohin of Zah. We didn't yet do Nuk. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen. Amen.